If you're still watching this series after the shambles of the result in Doha, then thank you very much, because I really do appreciate that, because I would have turned that off a long time ago, considering we just absolutely balls it up at the end. And if you haven't done so, consider subscribing, because then you can see more of that shite in the future, most likely. Hey guys, welcome to Season 1, Part 11 of Race to the Top. I'm Ian, and in today's episode we do have, of course, all the build-up to Tondola, which is in Portugal in 31 days' time. We do have a couple of items to get through, because we do have our new engine, which should be coming along in about 7 days' time from memory. And so that'll allow us to have a bit of a debate on what we do on here. We do have a question about, because the only good thing was the qualifying seemed to go very well for you, and I'll agree with that. We need to convert the qualifying pace into race wins, though, because on the whole, ignoring the shambles of the result in the previous episode, I feel like we've actually doing quite well qualifying wise, and then we just can't seem to convert those into race wins. Yes, we do have a slightly weaker car, and of course, when I'm not stuffing up, we're still sort of struggling a bit in the race. We tend to just sort of pit a bit early or a bit late, and we've been quite fortunate that in the past we've just had good safety cars and all that sort of thing that have saved us a little bit. Of course, we can now start looking at fixing our reliability. And in Tondola, we've got acceleration, which is our gearbox, and our low-speed corners, which is our front wing. They're crucial for us. So what we're going to do, because we've maxed everything out now, so we're going to turn the reliability around to our gearbox and our front wing on Falcaro's car. Because as you can see, they're a bit low. They're 85% and 80% respectively. And Julian Falcaro's actually got the lowest reliability of all the parts, because Joey Mawson seems to be really struggling with reliability. So I figure that let's turn our attentions a little bit to Falcaro, because despite our shambles of a result in the previous episode, Falcaro's still beating Mawson by quite 9 points. There you go. So that I feel like he does deserve a little bit of respect there. But when we look back on that result, when I was editing it and putting it together, despite the shambles at the end of not pitting Falcaro when I had the chance, and of course running out of fuel. I mean, that's just a basic mistake, and it's all on me. And I mean, if I was team owner, I would have sacked me a long time ago. Leading up to that, we'd actually not done too badly. I feel like we'd actually been pretty good. But that's you can't really look too much onto it. No more safety cars for Formula 3. That's the next debate that's coming up. 2 days left for that, the virtual safety car only. So that's what we're going to have to talk about in a little while. But we've actually just discovered that Falcaro's got a new personality trait, which will last basically to the end of the season then. He does have a little bit of morale, but he loses that mechanics relationship, which we will talk about a bit at the end of the season as to whether I even start looking around at replacing some of the mechanics. We are still very close away from fixing that engine, though, so I'll get talking about that when we get round to it. But yeah, going back to the race result then in Doha, leading up to that point, I felt like we'd actually done very, very well. Yes, we didn't convert it into the points that we were expecting, but we performed very well. It was a bit of a dull race, really. There wasn't much going on. Both drivers, until the safety car, were sort of in the middle of nowhere and had no one around to battle. So it was a bit of a boring race. And then it all just happened right at the end, which is a bit of a concern. We've actually just completed our engine, which, as you can see, isn't that fantastic, is it? 132, and reliability is very, very low. That's a shame. But what we can do is we'll go back now, and what we're going to have to look at doing is we're going to turn our attention to the engine for both. We want to bump up its performance and its reliability. So let's go 6-4 performance over reliability, just to try and get it up, because we can get it up to 132. It gives us 2 extra little pips of help there. In terms of pit crew, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reject him because he's woeful at the back. We do have to rotate some of these guys around because the mistakes are going to start creeping in. We've got Raissanen who's in recovery at the moment. He's going to have to come in, and I think what I'll do is I'm going to bring him in for Perskainen at the back here, because he's got a 2.3% chance of making a mistake. I don't know. Is that going to be a good idea? I'm not really sure. The mistakes are going to keep happening. We got people like Ankuri here up the front. He needs to have a break as well. Curtio, is he a Finn? Yeah, he is. I'm not even going to attempt to make his name. Euro. He's going to have to come in for Ankuri up the front, because he can fix the front wing, and the front wing's crucial. Remember, in this race. So if we do have any front wing damage, we're going to need someone that can fix that front wing quickly. But his tyre fixing, or his swapping of tyres is very low. It's only at 5, where Ankuru's up at 15. So we are going to find our pit stops are going to be a fraction slower. So any chance of a sort of undercut and things like that probably aren't going to eventuate, I should say. What I will do is I was also going to put in Tornstrom as well for Valhalla in the rear jack. His rear jack rating is 10 compared to Valhalla's, which is 12. But Valhalla, once he's recovered a little bit more, we could consider moving him into one of the tyre swapping roles, or even just bring him back into his old position of rear jack. So that's what I'm thinking of there. We've got to keep sort of rotating them around because we want to reduce the mistake chance as much as possible. And other than that, there's not really much going on in this build-up because we've got that engine that's been pretty shite, to be honest, and we do have to then worry about this vote. Otherwise, we're just going to go straight into the qualifying. So, but this is the next proposed rule change, the virtual safety car, which will replace a physical one. I kind of think that's a good idea. A, because it means that I won't make stupid mistakes like I did in the previous race, and also because it does mean that I have the opportunity if we do have a decent car in the next race and an incident happens, we're all just holding position. For those who aren't familiar with this virtual safety car, it's like, as Martin Brundle always says, it's like going around on a Scalextrics track. Everyone just stays, that's that equal distance apart. So I'm actually in for that, and I'm going to use my extra vote to vote for this in. Let's hope it gets up. That'll be fantastic if it does. And it looks like a vote against is going to win, and it does, the vote against. So our 2 votes were a bit wasted, which is a shame there, because it does mean that the real safety car is still going around. And I'm not surprised everyone voted against it, because everyone thought, well, if Ian Silva and Koiranen are going to carry on making the mistakes like they did in the previous race, then why get rid of it? Because we're going to gain multiple positions every race. So we will quickly get through this. There's not really much to talk about in this one, so hopefully this will be quite a quick episode. I'll have a quick look at the parts, see how they're getting on, see how this engine's moving up. So we've maxed out the engine now, and we want to fix on the reliability. So we've got 10 days to go. It's at 68%. We may be able to bump that up quite substantially. And who do I give that to? Do I give it to Falcaro or do I give it to Mawson? I think I'm going to give it to Falcaro. Mawson's going to have a little sook anyway, because he's just never happy. And Falcaro's leading the championship. So I kind of feel that Falcaro is more deserving of the extra 2 pips of performance. Whether that makes a difference, I've got absolutely no idea. I think 2 pips is a bit of a nothing, really, so I can't see us doing anything there. Just a reminder then, this is currently better than our original target of 10th. We're still first in the championship. We've only got 3 races to go. If we can get a decent result here in Tondola, then, we've only got 2 races to go, and we can really crack on and have a good chance of winning this championship. But this is going to be quite a long one. It's a 63-lap race. The lap record's a 1:15.13. On the weather front, only a 10% chance of rain. That's good. If we have a quick look there, the race looks like it's going to be in great sun. Practice and qualifying going to be cloudy, so that may sort of affect which tyres we go with, because also with the temperature of the race, if it gets too hot, we may have to go for the slightly sort of harder compounds, which are, if I can see them, super soft and soft. Now the gearbox is going to be the most crucial, because of course the front wing, the low speed corners, that's a spec part, so everyone's the same on that. So it's all down to the gearbox, and T-Sport have the best gearbox in the game, or in this championship, I should say. Ours, supposedly we've got the 3rd best, but as you can see, there's the average there, that little arrow there, that's the average, and we're only just above that. So you could sort of argue that Van Amersfoort, Muka, Prima, Artline, they're probably all maxed out their gearbox as well, where you've got T-Sport are probably way out in front. So I expect to see T-Sport running away, at 1st and 2nd. I don't know how close like Toda Racing are, but if we have a look at the standings, I mean, Toda aren't really in this. Toda are right at the back, but you can expect to see Toda, like Palau, for instance, you can expect to see him moving up, and you've got Mardenborough who's doing really well for him, so I expect to see him close to the top as well. But I think we stand a good chance of getting some points in this one. Joey Mawson wants this new engine. He's dropping little hints. He wants the new engine. As I say, I think I'm going to give it to Falcaro, but then Mawson has still been the better performer over the last few races, despite that result that just happened, where he was 9th and 10th. Mawson was 5th for most of it, so he was doing really, really well. So I've said I've been saying in this whole episode that I'm going to give it to Falcaro, and now I'm already changing my mind. I think I might give it to Mawson because he's been performing a lot better. So I can't decide. We do have to make the a couple of sponsor decisions, which I'll get to. And here's a preview for Tondola then. So Koiranen have been tipped to have a great time on Sunday with the track suiting their car down to the ground. Someone said he'd be amazed if Joey Mawson doesn't walk away with the top prize. I can't see that happening, but you never know. Let's just hope that I get the strategy right for a change. Muka's Ryan Tavetta is feeling confident about his lead at the top of the drivers' standings. That'll be interesting because he is leading the championship, and they're fifth, so they've got a very similar acceleration rating to us, and he's leading the championship. So I'm kind of be interested to see that myself. And Mick Schumach's hoping to make a few waves as well. They've actually been really quite disappointing, Prima Power Team, haven't they? If we go back and have a look, they've slipped away a little bit, but they're still in touching distance, but they haven't really affected much. They haven't really been making a big charge for any wins or anything, or even podiums, and yet they're still sort of up there, so they're getting quite consistent points. But we will have a quick look at these sponsor offers then. As you can see, we're starting to get 2-star sponsorship offers, which is really promising. We can do an upfront payment for 8 races of 2 million, or we can do 14 races at 330,000, or we can do this one, a target position. But of course, if we fail to reach the target position, then we're not going to get any money at all. 15 races is a really long time. I think I may go the upfront payment of 2 million because it does give us that extra money in the bank account, 19.7 million, which should get us back up to that sort of 23 million range, which would be quite handy. Now, do I decide to design any new parts? Because if we have a look, actually, if I can find the correct button, Buller designed that new engine and only gave us an extra 2 pips of performance, and she's got a 13 rating in engine design, so I'm a bit concerned about that. Now, the next one, I believe acceleration is actually quite prominent, really, because we got Munich at the end of the season. That's acceleration as well. Munich and Tondola look like they're very similar. Then you've got the Ardennes as well. That's got engine. So what do I design? I think we may sort of design a new part. We've got that money to burn, so let's go for it, and we'll design a new engine. I think let's try and get this engine as good as we can get it. What I'll do this time though is I will go extra reliability, and then for the good part design, I think I may go. Do we go for the top speed, or do we go for extra reliability? Actually, you know what? I'm going to go top speed there. And I'm going to go with extra reliability. And it bumps that top speed down by 15. But it does allow us to get extra reliabilities. Or do I go for the extra build time, which bumps top speed up by 15, up by 20? We could get a really powerful engine out of this. But then, of course, reliability could be woeful. So we'd have to really start looking at reliability for the final few races. I think I might do that. You're looking at £2.1 million. We've still got quite a bit of money to spend. So I will do that. We're going to go for a super powerful engine that's not going to be very reliable. That could undo all the hard work we've done, but I figure if I can give that to Falcaro rather than Mawson, because Mawson just has absolutely no luck with reliability, then we might get Falcaro up there, and who knows, we could even win the Drivers' Championship just with that engine. But I don't think it's going to be ready in time for Ardennes, where it's most crucial, but we'll figure it out as we go along, shall we? That's what I've seemed to be doing so far. So here we are then. So this is the track guide for Tondola. High tyre wear with medium fuel burn, a 63-lap race. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty warm one. 31 degrees and clear in practice, 29 and clear in qualifying, and 29 and clear in the race, which is decent for us. We are going to change our parts out though, and what I am going to do is, just to keep Joey Mawson satisfied, I am going to bring in the engine, the one that we've just designed. It only gives him an extra 2 pips of power, which is absolutely nothing, and he's still only content with that, to be honest. So whatever, he's never going to be satisfied, is he? And I'll see you for the qualifying after practice. So here we are then in a rainy qualifying session. The rain certainly wasn't expected, was it, at the beginning of the race weekend, but it is raining. We do have Joey Mawson. Joey Mawson came in P9 on super softs. Julian Falcaro was P19 on the soft tyres in qualifying, and we didn't manage to get any practice knowledge, which is really, really concerning. I was sort of originally focusing, as you can see there, I was originally focusing on just doing softs and race trim. But Joey Mawson nailed the setup so quickly that I figured I'd take a gamble and see if we could get super softs and some qualifying trim. But unfortunately, neither car managed to get any decent knowledge. So at the moment, the rain is expected to hang around for quite some time. So I do feel it may be best to go out on the intermediates just to get a banker lap in the really, really off chance that the rain either gets heavier or just persists. At least we've still got a lap time. So for that reason, that's why they're going out on the intermediates then. As you can see, Joey Mawson's still not perfectly happy with the handling, but Falcaro's delighted with his. So there's not a lot in it. In between P9 and P19 in practice, there was only 3/10, which isn't much at all. So we are going to get into qualifying then. Hopefully this rain doesn't stay out too long, just purely because I'd much prefer to be able to set some time on some softs, or even super softs for that matter. But as you can see, just double check that we are on the intermediates, and we're going to send them both out at the same time. And at the moment, no one else has got the same idea. But what I'm hoping to do is, if the rain does get heavier or persists for the rest of the session, we can call off this lap. We'll send them back, because I don't know if they'll have enough time to go around again. But as you can see, that it's actually getting dark. You can see the floodlights on here. And the rain looks to be easing a little bit. Temperatures dropping quite considerably, but the rain could be staying for quite some time. But hopefully by the time these guys get around, the wet track's going to be quite high, so I'm not expecting to have a fantastic lap time here, but it seems like everyone else has sort of come out with the same idea. You got the Prima Power team there waiting, you got PK and Newey who are also sitting out the rain, hopefully. Then you got Tavetta, Tickton, they've come out, Hyman, Jensen, Sims, Sasahara, so there's quite a few people coming out. Mawson's got great temperatures. I didn't see Falcaro's actually, but his didn't seem too bad. I couldn't see any bright red there, so that's quite promising. And we'll have to keep an eye. So Mawson's going to be setting the first time, I believe. He was the first one out of the pits, which is the way we want it. I like to do that. I like to set an early lap time. What can Falcaro? Falcaro can't do that. He's nearly 2/10 down on Mawson in that first sector. Mawson, he always seems to do very well in qualifying, but Tavetta's just gone fastest in that first sector. So we are trailing a little while Falcaro's well down on his lap time. So expect to see Mawson defeating Falcaro in this first little round of times. And Mawson's rounding that final right-hander. This is a very short track, this one. There's not a lot of room for error on the shorter tracks. And Mawson crosses with a 1:20.2. But Falcaro goes fastest with a 1:20 dead in that final sector. And Hyman breaks into the 1:19s, a 1:19.4. I'm thinking it's because, as you can see, the rain has stopped. The water on the track's drifting away. So we are going to be able to go out and set another time. But at least we've got a banker lap in the off chance that, you know, that rain persisted, then at least we had a time. But it looks like it's going to be somewhat irrelevant now. As we're looking at some of the cars going around, they've all set times on intermediates, including all these guys at the back have come out on their intermediates as well. And there's no water on the track. They should have just held off that little bit longer, and they would have had a nice clear track. Because as you can see, the track's starting to grip up a little bit now, because that rain's gone away, or the water on the track has gone away, I should say. So what we can do is we've gone back into the garage. We're just going to sit this one out. We're going to quickly cut over to Palau, who's about to cross the line. Sato's just in front of him. And Palau, where does he end up? He ends up 17th. Not a great time. But of course, on these intermediates on dry track, you're never going to get a lot of time, are you? Because there's a lot of people still on their in-lap. So this is going to be a very, very exciting finish to this qualifying, because everyone's going to be coming out on their super soft to set a time now, and it's basically anyone's race, really. As you can see, you've got Hyman, Aaron, Sims, they're now just coming out on their outlaps, and we're going to do the same thing. 2 minutes 30. I'm going to send out Falcaro first this time, just because Mawson usually does a little bit better in qualifying, I feel, and I think he could benefit from having a slightly better, a more grippier track. So that's a gamble that I'm going to take, and I will send him out probably about now-ish. I don't want to leave them too late if I can help it. And we'll keep we'll go back to Mawson. We'll keep an eye on Falcaro. So as you can see, there's quite a few people on their outlaps now. You've got Makino on their outlaps, Sashara, Jensen, Hyman, Aaron, Sims, Tveta. They're all on their outlaps, and expect to see a few more coming out now as well. I don't know. I mean, like, PK's one that we're keeping an eye on, of course. If he doesn't come out again, then that puts us in a really good position, because everyone that's come out on an outlap, they're going to be faster on the super softs than they are on the intermediates. So keep an eye on some of them as we're going around too. These ones on the intermediates, because they might not come out again. Schumacher doesn't look like they've got no time, so these guys are stuffed. All these people on the intermediate stuff, that's great for us, because PK's second and at the moment. He's the one to watch, remember, and he hasn't done anything. As Falcaro perfects his tyre temps, okay on the brake temps. Mawson's gone good for both of his as he crosses the line behind us, but we're going to keep an eye on Falcaro now. Aaron went fastest in the first sector. You got Hyman fastest in the second, so keep an eye on both of them. In fact, what I'll do is I'll flick over to Aaron, who's got a little bit of traffic in front of him, and who has crossed the line. So there goes Hyman. So Hyman is fastest now with a 1:17 dead. Aaron second. Sims behind him. We'll cut back to Falcaro now, who's improving on his lap time, but he's over a 10th down on pole. But if he can get in that top 5 or 6, that would be fantastic. Mawson, he's improved on his time in that first sector and in the second sector. He may well go defeat Falcaro, as Falcaro sets the third fastest time, and we'll cut back to Mawson. Here comes Mawson now. Does he improve, and does he overtake Falcaro as he'll cross the finish line? And he comes in 7th place. We've got Sato and Palau still coming around. We'll cut to Sato, as he's not going to be able to do very much. We'll cut to Palau, who will be crossing the finish line right now. What can he do? Can he bump them up? He does. Palau moves up to 4th. That's a fantastic performance. But Tveta with a 1:16.9 gets pole ahead of Hyman and Ericsson. And then we're sitting 5th and 8th, which is, again, where I kind of expect to be. And I'm quite happy with that. So here's the confirmation. Then you got Ryan Tveta first, Rail Hyman second, Joel Ericsson third, and then it's Palau, Falcaro in 5th, Ralph Aaron, Jan Mardenborough. Again, I expected him to be a little higher up, because Toda have got a good gearbox, remember. They got good acceleration. Joey Mawson 8th, Alexander Sims in 9th, and Sasha Hara in 10th. Again, Outline Engineering, they're improving quite drastically. But the big one is Pedro Piquet in 14th place on the grid, and because they never went out. They never went out again. You got quite a few guys there that we've been battling away with. You got Gunther, you got Schumacher, you got Ticktum. They're all down there, and they should be higher up, but they didn't get to go out again on the Super Softs, which puts us in a great position for tomorrow. So hopefully that was a slightly better result than the previous episode. Make sure you pop up a thumbs up on there for me, because it really helps promote my channel in YouTube, and then, hey, you get more content, but not like the content in the previous episode. Thanks, guys.